A journey through the land of immortals. When I first decided to travel to Egypt, I expected ancient ruins, golden sands, and camels. What I didn't expect was to be completely consumed by the silence of tombs, the heartbeat of cities, the stillness of the Nile. Egypt isn't a vacation. It's a voyage through time, culture, and the soul of civilization. My journey began in Cairo, a city that doesn't sleep. The streets hummed with life, cars honking, prayers echoing from minarets, the scent of grilled meat and spices drifting through the air. My driver navigated the traffic like a warrior in a chariot race, weaving through the chaos as the sun cast a golden hue over the city. Nothing prepared me for the moment I saw the Pyramids of Giza. Even from a distance, they loomed impossibly large, massive stone sentinels standing guard over centuries of history. As I stood before the Great Pyramid of Khufu, I felt small. Not in a diminishing way, but in a reverent one. To think that these structures were built over 4,500 years ago, with no cranes or computers, just human ingenuity, determination, and faith. The Sphinx lay silent nearby, its gaze eternal, weathered yet defiant. I wandered the plateau, trying to imagine what it must have felt like to live in a time when gods walked among men. At the nearby museum, I saw the solar boat, an actual vessel buried beside the pyramid to carry the king into the afterlife. Back in Cairo, I dove into the sensory storm of Khan el-Khalili, one of the oldest markets in the world. Shopkeepers called to me with smiles and offers of tea, eager to share their stories. I bought a small bottle of frankincense, a reminder that Egypt was once the hub of global trade. In a narrow alley, a man with white hair wrote my name in Arabic calligraphy and handed it to me as a gift. The next day, I visited Old Cairo, where Christianity, Islam, and Judaism coexisted for centuries. The hanging church stood proudly over a Roman gate, while just around the corner, I explored the Ben Ezra synagogue and the mosque of Amr ibn al-As, the oldest in Africa. Egypt's past isn't one thing, it's many. Interwoven, sacred, alive. From Cairo, I boarded a short flight to Luxor, and suddenly, I was in Thebes, the ancient capital of Upper Egypt. It was here that the divine and the earthly blurred. My first stop was the Karnak Temple, a colossal complex that felt more like a city than a temple. Walking through the great hypostyle hall, I was dwarfed by 70-foot columns carved with hieroglyphs that have survived sandstorms, invasions, and time. At Luxor Temple, which connects to Karnak via the ancient avenue of Sphinxes, I watched the sunset as the statues of Ramses II seemed to come alive in the amber light. At night, the entire temple was bathed in golden glow, as if the gods themselves were lighting the way. One of the most unforgettable moments of the trip came at dawn. I boarded a hot air balloon and soared over the Valley of the Kings. The air was cool, the sky painted in soft pastels. Below me, the Nile gleamed as it sliced through fields and villages. I saw temples, tombs, and tiny farming plots, all living together in harmony, as they had for thousands of years. On the west bank of the Nile, I descended into the tomb of Ramses VI. The colors on the walls, vivid blues, reds, and golds, still burned bright after 3 millennia. And deeper still, I found the tomb of Tutankhamun. It was small, modest even, but standing in the resting place of the boy king felt like standing at the heart of a legend. After Luxor, I boarded a traditional dahabeah sailboat, a slow, elegant way to cruise the Nile. No engines, just the wind and the water. We floated southward, stopping at temples that most travelers skip. At Edfu, I visited the Temple of Horus, a falcon-headed god who was believed to protect the pharaohs. The structure was almost perfectly preserved. Every wall told a story, of love, of battle, of divine justice. At Kam Ombo, I discovered a rare double temple, half dedicated to the crocodile god Sobek and half to Haroris, a form of Horus. In a small museum behind the temple, I saw mummified crocodiles, once worshipped and buried with ceremony. The cruise brought peace, sunsets over the river, laughter under the stars, the gentle flap of sails in the wind. I shared stories with other travelers, drank tea on the deck, and watched villages pass by like paintings. I arrived in Aswan, a city shaped by the river and softened by the desert. I sailed to Philae Island, where the Temple of Isis stood. It had been moved from its original location when the Aswan High Dam was built, block by block, to preserve it from the rising waters. Walking through its columns felt like entering a dream, silent, sacred, serene. In a nearby Nubian village, homes were painted in bright blues, oranges, and reds. Children ran barefoot through the alleys, drumming on plastic bottles. I was welcomed with hibiscus tea, offered henna tattoos, and taught simple words in the Nubian language. The Nubian people carry a culture that predates most, proud and warm, deeply rooted in both earth and spirit. From Aswan, I traveled farther south to Abu Simbel, near the Sudanese border. There, carved into a mountain, were the colossal statues of Ramses II, each one over 60 feet tall. Twice a year, on a precise date, the sun aligns perfectly to illuminate the inner sanctum of the temple, a marvel of ancient engineering. I sat in silence, trying to comprehend the scale, the devotion, the power. My final days were spent in Alexandria, the Mediterranean city of Cleopatra, of Greek philosophers, of lost scrolls. At the catacombs of Qam el-Shogafa, I wandered through Roman-style tombs carved with Egyptian symbols. Cultures layered on top of one another, blended into stone. I walked the Corniche, the sea wind in my face, and visited the stunning Bibliotheca Alexandrina, a modern architectural wonder and homage to the greatest library of the ancient world. In every part of Egypt, I found more than I expected, more beauty, more history, more soul. I saw salt lakes and ancient mud brick fortresses in Siwa, chalk white rock formations in the White Desert, and even Red Sea coral reefs that burst with color like underwater gardens. But most of all, I found perspective. Egypt taught me that time is not linear, it loops and echoes. That memory is not only held in books but in stones, in prayers, in rivers, and in sand. That death isn't the end, but a transformation. The people here know that. They live it. I came to Egypt as a traveler. I left carrying something sacred, something intangible. Egypt stays with you. In the silence. In the stillness. In the stirring wonder that never leaves your bones. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.